Hey guys, this is Tom. It's Friday night about 8:30 Eastern time, and I was busy all day getting a piece of medical equipment installed in my house for the most part, and having lunch with one of my best friends who I hadn't seen in a while. And I didn't know the Strat football new ratings were out. New ratings for the new Strat football season. Some surprises, and I want to get into that. But I need to do a 1979 draft recap show for my buddies in the Diehard Football League, a new Strat football league I started up to play all of its games in July. And Dennis and I were going to do a show, but he wasn't able to do it. Dennis is married with many children and has obviously time commitments. And I don't think any of them are even. I'm not sure if his oldest is off to college, but they're all, they're all at ages where they still need a lot of parental attention. So I'm going to try and do a very expedited, condensed review of the 1979 Die Hard Football League draft because I'm going to do a show on the new ratings, which is what I live for, basically. So you'll have to forgive me, my Die Hard Football League bros, about giving you only a quick show this year. Well, it's our first time. There's only 9 of us, so it shouldn't be too bad. But look, new Strat football ratings is much bigger news than Die Hard draft recap. But still, I want to do it now. For other people who listen to me, I have a fair number of subscribers. For a guy sitting in the dark talking about Strat-O-Matic, Die Hard Football League is basically a one-time deal. Although I don't think it will be a one-time deal. I think I'll start them up whenever I have lulls and feel like playing some Strat. But it follows the Die Hard. This is all out of Battle Royale. That's Dennis Crowley's series of leagues. Been going on for several years. And what happens in a Battle Royale league is that they take a season and they get a bunch of coaches and they conduct a draft. And in the draft, you can select one unit from an NFL team. So you could take the Cowboys quarterback unit, you could take the Cowboys running back unit, you could take the Packers wide receivers or the Falcons defensive line or whatever. And you get all the players that go with that unit in Strat, and that's how you put a team together. You end up having 10 rounds because you have quarterback, halfback, the fullback tight end group, wide receiver, offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, defensive backs, kicker, punter, which comes with the coverage cards, and returners. So I really do apologize to the DFL guys. I know a couple of you were looking for a draft show, and I wanted to do one. But last night I was tired and trying to track down coach files. I still don't have all the coach files. So if you're listening and you didn't send one in, you need to. But I'll do a condensed version because I really want to get onto the modern ratings, which will be a different video, but still. So we started the draft. Now, this was also crazy. Basically, what happened is I'm playing in Summer Sprint, which is Dennis Crowley's Battle Royale League for the summer, which was an idea I came up with a couple of years ago, although I don't play in it every year. But I proposed it to Dennis, and he said yes. And we play a retro season every time, and Dennis runs these things beautifully. And I played like 11 games. It's a 16-game season, and I had like 11 games played as of a week ago, and I could have ran through another 3 games or so easily, and then been sitting there with like 2 games to play in July. Both of my spring teams are rebuilding, so I have no playoffs. And Dennis was thinking we might have a delay in the ratings. Oh, they're going to come out later because we haven't heard anything. No thrills and chills, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, well, I've got a bit of a Strat football fix. Little did I know the ratings are going to come out before I even start this league. But regardless, I sent out an email on Thursday, June 22nd, asking if anyone wanted to play in a July-only league. We're going to play like the whole season in 1 month, rapid fire. That's why it's called the Die Hard Football League. And I got quite a few responses. 9 guys total. Dennis, of course, is playing. I'm playing. Joe Golden's playing. Butch, Lawrence, Jody, Dale, and Dave Gabbard and Jason Owens. David and Jody fairly new to the online community. Everyone else much more well-known to the online community. And we did all this in rapid-fire fashion. I sent out the combo spreadsheet because we use the draft league defensive cards, and you get average or good or excellent or, God forbid, poor, like Lawrence did in 1985, based upon the total number of points for your front 7 and your back 7 vis-a-vis run versus pass. So we settled on 1970. So I sent out the invitations on Thursday, got the coaches, settled on the season 1979, sent out the combos like very shortly after that. And then what was really somewhat Herculean on my part was to spend Saturday and part of Sunday and then early Monday morning doing the ratings file. And I think I'm sharing my screen here. And I think that we're live. We are doing the ratings file, which is here. And I did, I had just done the 1985 draft about 2 months ago. So I had all my formulas. I use formulas to rank players. I don't go slavishly by them. And I need to make sure I don't go slavishly by them because I hurt myself when I do. I think I'd have a better 1985 team. I'd have Walter Payton if I had not gone slavishly by them and thought more about playability, something I've been talking about to Dennis. And it's something I think Rick Byron's particularly does well, but how do all the pieces fit together? So it's like I figured out this way that I try to rank all the players numerically and come up with yards per game for their impact and stuff like that. And even tried to come up with a quarterback rating, which is always tricky because there's so many factors going in. I have the least confidence in that, but I'm pretty happy with my wide receiver rankings and my special teams work. I'm real happy with. And the other stuff still helps to some extent. How do you compare a good running back who fumbles to a mediocre running back that never fumbles? And what about how much should the receiving factor in? And so I use all this stuff to come up with numbers, but I don't go slavishly by them. And then try and think about how all the pieces fit together, which I didn't do in '85. But I need to work on doing that, on thinking about how the football team will look and play, because I have ended up with some funky teams going just by the numbers. I have used Dennis's Battle Royale and Summer Sprint Leagues as sort of an experiment for my spreadsheet work. And it started to help me in my regular keeper leagues, which are the leagues I have the most excitement for. And it's funny I said that because I ended up with a funky team here, but part of that was just, no quarterbacks. So we ended up, we only had 9 guys playing, so we're not going to draft out of a whole NFL, of course. So we assembled a talent pool from the 1979 NFL season that included all 10 playoff teams. The Washington Redskins, who missed the playoffs but were 10-6. The Seattle Seahawks, who were Dennis Crowley's favorite team. I figured I should throw them in there, who were 9-7. And then a trio of 5-11 teams, the St. Louis Cardinals, the Baltimore Colts, and the Green Bay Packers, to round out the field but not make it too super strong. And also to get O.J. Anderson in there, who had the awesome rookie season in 1979, which at the time set the NFL record for most yards rushing by a rookie. And it was over 1,600 yards. So I don't remember if George Rogers broke that in '81 or not, but I know that Eric Dickerson eventually broke it in '83 with 1808, a mark that still stands. Ezekiel Elliott threatened it in the 2016 NFL season, but came up well short. I don't even think he actually ended up hitting 1,600. I think he got 15-something, and Eric was at 1808. But anyway, I'm not sure, but Elliott. So looking at the draft, so all these draft pools. One thing I think that was good about this, I shared my draft prep file with the entire league because I wanted us to draft quickly, and I knew that guys were not going to have the time to put in all kinds of research on short notice because I want the whole league to take place in July. So I'm free to deal with trading and everything else and drafting, which I love. So what I live for is the drafting in the fall leagues. I probably would not have even started this league if I knew the ratings were going to come out before the 4th of July. A lot of people were predicting next week. Dennis was concerned it would be even later. But anyway, I'll give you some advice here on what to do in these Battle Royale, Summer Sprint type of leagues. In this case, it's the Diehard Football League, the DFL. But when you're drafting from a whole set, one of the first things you got to do, look, you rank all the guys by position, rank each position, and then look and see what does the set look like. And this set here, we're drafting 9 teams out of 15, and from the pool we had, there really weren't very many good quarterbacks. Roger Staubach had a real good card, very solid, not a Manning Marino type of card, but very solid. Dan Fouts had a pretty good card, but a lot of picks. And Joe Theismann had like a nice all-around card, but more of sort of a game manager type of card as opposed to a a real top flight quarterback card. And then that was it. I mean, the rest of the guys, no one else was particularly good. I mean, Jimmy Zorn was okay, and the rest of the guys were blah. Terry Bradshaw, Ron Jaworski, Bob Greasy, Pat Hayden, maybe Greg Landry if you're going to go flat pass heavy, maybe Craig Morton. So it's going to be a bad passing set. So you got to look at those things and think, well, what does that mean? Well, if it's going to be a bad passing set, can I run the ball? Because I might not be able to throw it unless I'm lucky and I get Roger Staubach. Even if Theismann and Fouts can't sit there and throw it all day long. So you look at the running backs. There's some stud running backs this season. Peyton, Otis Anderson, Earl Campbell, Ricky Bell. Those four all had a lot of yards, a lot of carries. The fumble is not too bad for the season, although Otis is 35.5. And I did fumble research. I started games and ran all these guys to see what the in-game fumble numbers were, because this fumble number in this column is just like fumbles divided by 1,000 and doesn't always reflect the game. There's a thread in the forum where Mike Kane, who does the ratings files, was looking for methods of improvement, and he explained he does not have access to Strat's actual number, so he does what he thinks is the best he can do, is take the fumbles and divide by 1,000, and there's your number there. But as you can see, in the game, it can be far different, which can be a problem if you're looking at a fall league and the computer game hasn't come out yet, like Autumn Winners Draft starts before the computer game comes out, I believe. And, you're not exactly sure what the guy's fumble number is. I think for the modern seasons, it's not as much of a problem. I think there were some formula changes and that took place after these past season rating files were produced. Something about special teams fumbles counting or not counting and all kinds of things like that. But I went through the game actually and produced in-game fumble numbers for all the running backs, snap fumble numbers for all the quarterbacks, must-run fumble numbers for all the quarterbacks, and added them into my spreadsheet. But you don't want to sit there with last year's Josh McCown card. Oh, I got a low turnover quarterback, and you got a snap fumble number of 14, which is kind of high. Regardless. And I certainly weigh formulas and turnovers into my formulas. But you see Peyton, Otis Anderson, Earl Campbell, Ricky Bell, you got 9 teams. That's 4 stud backs. All right, then you got 3 pretty good quarterbacks. Okay, so 7. So I'm either going to get a good quarterback or a running back. And then other lead back guys. Wilbur Montgomery had a good card, but fumbles, and stuff like that. This was the key category was yards per rush per fumble. You see that Ricky Bell and the other 3 guys were 5.0 or more. This is when I think of 55%, 45% breakdown, right versus wrong, which is what's default in the file. And I kept that ratio for this season because it is going to be a run first type of league. But look at Peyton, Anderson, and Earl Campbell, 5.4, 5.6, 5.8. Campbell can't catch at all. That's where Peyton got the number 1 spot. I do factor in the receiving, and of course Peyton's also a 6'7". So if you want to get one of these 4 guys and you want to get one of the quarterbacks, then all of a sudden I was like, oh, what am I going to do? Montgomery fumbles, Franco Harris fumbles, but John Riggins at 24.5. That's not too bad. This card's okay, but you better have a good team around him. And hopefully maybe someone who already gets a quarterback gets Riggins. That running back card goes a lot further when you have a good quarterback card. And conversely, if you got one of these guys and no quarterback, well, there's going to be a lot of guess right calls. So maybe you try to enhance your line or something and make sure you have a second back who can run the ball so you're not keyed too easily. Things like that. Of course, you also need to look. I didn't even bring up the combos on here. So give me a minute while I bring that up. 1979. I played this set in 1980 when it came out with the big cards. If anyone goes back to the big cards, I played with the original 79 cards with my brothers in the basement, mostly in the summer. I remember that. And the 6-stroke game, right and wrong, was a big deal at that time. Otis Anderson had it, a couple other guys. The Jets had a decent team in 79. They're 8-8, but I did not include them here. Now, another thing to look at is the pass rush matchup. It was easy for me to consider that thoroughly because 1985 was a year with outstanding pass rush, not a lot of pass blocking. So that changes the game completely. In this era, the pass rush was okay, but the lack of pass blocking was perhaps alarming. Your average in the top 9 was going to be a 4.3 left tackle, a 3.6 left guard, a 3.9 center, a 3.8 right guard, and a 4.1 right tackle. So basically, 4 is kind of across the board, a little worse than that. But if you had a line that was 4-4-4-4-4 pass blocking, it does not take much to get sacks against a line like that. And then you start looking at, 3-4 defensive lines. They got 12-6-7, 8-5-12 with an asterisk, 7-5-10, 7-6-6, 9-7-8. The 4-3's got a 7-12-5-10, 11-8-5-7 here. Like even 7-6-7-6, you had a free safety blitz and a couple of blitzes. You're jacking these guys up to like 11-10, 11-10. The 3-4 linebacker sets are where you usually get your pass rush. Tampa Bay's was good, 11-6, 10-8. The other ones weren't that great. So the pass rush is not as dominant, but the lack of pass blocking and the ability, I was going to say the free safety blitz, which is always there. I think it creates a set where you are going to have still a nice pass rush advantage for the defenses. So again, you got to run the ball. In the modern leagues, there's a lot of pass blocking. Most modern leagues, not going to win, unfortunately, but most modern leagues play with the dump off rule. So if you have a decent quarterback card and good pass blocking, you can throw the ball, 40 plus times, if you know what you're doing, and have success. Back in this era, that's usually not going to work too well. Now we're using draft league team defensive cards. The interceptions aren't usually as high, although if you're good or excellent, they're certainly very good. But compared to the stock teams, normally, certainly on the average card, the interceptions aren't as good as they are for the stock teams in this era. But the quarterbacks have got more picks on the card than your modern guys. And, it's more of an era where now this isn't as far old school as like the 60s sets and the early 70s. And this is after the liberalization of the passing rules in 1978 by the NFL. But this is still an era in Strat-O-Matic where you need to run to set up the pass, and you really can't sit back there and fire all day. Tampa Bay's got 3 sevens. Pittsburgh got 2 sevens. But Pittsburgh's got like a left guard, 2 a right guard, 2 and a right tackle, 4. More of a run blocking line. Tampa Bay has weak run blocking, and they do have still a 4 at left guard and center. So even the best pass blocking lines here can be overwhelmed. There's only, look, I just read you Pittsburgh, 7 left tackle, 7 center, 2 left guard, 2 right guard, 4 right tackle. That's the 3rd best pass blocking set in the league in this draft class. And number 4 is getting only 19 points. Number 4, which I have. It was just accidents. I really didn't want them. I wanted a better run blocking line, but at San Diego, they got a 3 left tackle, a 4 left guard, a 2 center, a 5 right guard, a 5 right tackle. Very easy to overwhelm that, and that's the 4th best one in the league. So if you're looking at pass first in this league, quarterback may spend a lot of time on his back. And again, now, so you got to factor all this in. You need to look at what the rule set is. I should have said that first. First, you need to look at what the rule set is, and so you should know if you're an experienced draft coach what that's going to mean. And then you need to look at the draft class. Like in this case, we're not drafting for the entire league, but look at the draft class and see where there's strength and see where there's weaknesses and see where there's depth and see how these games are going to play out if you can. You certainly should be able to analyze the rule set and analyze the positions and see where there's depth and where there isn't depth. That's the key to drafting in these types of leagues. So our rule set, we're playing the old-fashioned rule set like they play in Battle Royale and Summer Sprint, but we are including the white die 6 rule. I think it gives the offense a little more balance. And, the completion percentages are usually pretty woeful in this era when you do replays and stuff like that. So, and in the IFL, Tim Boyer's IFL league, which I founded the AFL side of when we played with 1964, going back probably at least 12 years right now. I'm not in that league anymore. But we played this rule set with no dump off, but we did have the white die 6, and it played real well. It wasn't too easy to sit there and flat pass all day. And, it kept the downfield, options still open a little more, maybe because the safeties might come up more, but it played real well, and I felt it played well for the era. I get a little bored with the old-fashioned rule set that Dennis likes, that they have in Battle Royale and Summer Sprint. I find it a little tedious. It's the rule set. Look, if you grew up with the game with the dice and cards, it's a rule set you played in the 1980s and early 90s. It's a rule set where there's no dump off, there's no white die 6, and it's hard to complete more than 53% of your passes, no matter who your quarterback is. And you have to run to set up the pass. And it's just a little more of a rudimentary type of simple type of game to me. I don't like the dump off for the old seasons. It makes it too strong for the offenses and too fluky. But the white die 6 rule I think is good, and I hope you guys who play with this set will feel like, okay, this is a good rule set for this era. Maybe a little better than the Summer Sprint rule set. We'll find out how you guys feel, because all of you are in Summer Sprint, and I know that the guys who are in the DFL, Diehard Football League, and all of you guys are in Summer Sprint. So I'm speaking mostly to you, although some other subscribers may pop in and listen to the velvety tones of Thomas E. Cook. And I'll probably follow this with a live ratings draft show for the new ratings, and I might post that on the forum tonight. So if I can keep the wife tranquil, keep her resting. So, all right. So and you should have looked through all the groups and have rankings. Now I gave you rankings, so you had them. But like even the combos, one of the keys is understanding. Combos are real important. When I did some spreadsheet work on the impact of the draft league defensive cards a couple of years ago, I really determined that having a good pass defense set of cards versus an average pass defense set of cards is one of the most impactful things that you can do in any Battle Royale draft. Now, for the older seasons, I don't think that's the case. I particularly don't think it's the case for this year, for this draft class. We only have 3 decent quarterbacks out of 9. So how great is it to be good against the pass? I don't know. There are stud running back cards, so I think the running game is more paramount. And despite what my spreadsheet work told me, my strat experience told me I need to be better against the run this year. And obviously you want to be good against both. Now, we ended up drafting from a stronger draft class than I would have liked, but this was put together quickly. And you can see as a final result, almost everyone is good at something. Everyone is good at something. There's no averages. As a matter of fact, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 total average units. 1 against the run, 3 against the pass. And there are 1, 2, 3 excellent units. Usually we have 0 excellent units, maybe 1 or 2. And that's when you're drafting out of like 16, 17 teams out of the entire NFL. So you can see that this pool right away looks like it's going to be a little stronger. And also it's probably going to be pretty defensive set. So to me, defensive set, field position helps a lot. Kicking game helps a lot. Running the ball helps a lot, especially when you have only 3 decent quarterbacks. And this is not a great long passing set like 1985 was. All these guys in 1985 have got guys of 15, 16, 17 units on long pass wrong. In this set, all the guys were 13 or worse. A guy like Jaworski and Terry Bradshaw only like 10 or 11 long pass wrong units. You would have thought of them differently. So the bombs away approach, run, and bomb, not as effective instead this 79 draft class as it is in 85, where a lot of guys are using that approach, including me. It's a pretty good effect. But the white die 6 should allow you to flat pass more, maybe a little bit more of a West Coast approach if you have the quarterback for it. I was originally thinking that most guys were going to play the 3-4, which would have really hurt the flat passing approach and the white die 6 rule. But instead, you got only 1, 2, 3, only 4 guys playing the 3-4. Most guys playing the 4-3, but these 4-3s are pretty good. As they're playing, 2 of them are excellent against the pass. That's Dennis and Lawrence. Some of them have real good linebackers, multiple sixes, which is going to hurt you big time if you try to do a flat pass approach, because that white tie six is not going to help you. So I don't know. I mean, you look, if you didn't get a good quarterback, you better get a stud running back. If you got neither, I don't know. Good luck was kind of how I was feeling. Because I don't think a defensive team with the bad quarterback and bad running back was going to do well here. And I say bad, below average or whatever. It's all comparative. But then again, playability. I mean, you know, there was a lot of halfbacks who were pretty decent. Dave Gabbert got the Seattle halfbacks in the 7th round. I thought that unit would go a lot earlier. I think that their availability and them slipping kind of saved his chances, saves his team. I didn't like the Washington pick. I'll get to that in a minute. But, you know, that type of thing can happen. You know, Lawrence may have saved his team by getting that excellent pass defense by going for the Washington DB in the 2nd round and the Green Bay returners in the 3rd round. But I'm going to try and run down this now, and we'll take it from there. But round 1, Joe Golden started us off with the Dallas Cowboys quarterback group. Very interesting because there are only 3 decent quarterbacks. So if you don't take a quarterback, you're going to get a mediocre one. And even though it's not really a passing era by far in the set, that gives you a great advantage. And of course, when you give a real good coach, Joe's a really good coach. Joe's just waiting to win some championships. He's appeared in 3 Super Bowls in these Battle Royale semi-sprint leagues. He's lost them all. But he's just a championship or 2 waiting to happen. He might have won that FPR league, but it's kind of, some people, you know, some people don't count that as much. I forget he may have won that. I'm not poo-pooing the Joe. But Joe's real good. He just needs the championships to say, yeah, I'm, right there with everyone. So you give a coach like that a big advantage at quarterback, and it's going to be hard for the rest of us. And Joe had a brilliant draft. Things broke his way, and Joe always drafts very soundly, very solidly, and he did it again. As he saw, Starbucks got 7-1-3-6. 7-14 in long pass, which is pretty decent, but the short pass and flat pass and the lack of turnovers where he really shines. And this is, for me, the best card in the set by far, but I still think you got to run to set up the pass, okay? So I would say picks. Now, this picks in the 1st round, this is terrible for me to say that. I'm going to go down each round and pick up the picks I don't like. But guys who know me know I'm critical, so why don't I stay critical? And I want to get the show done with real quick. But I thought it was interesting. Dave Gabbert took the Washington quarterback group number 2. And, after looking at the whole set, I might have taken Fouts. I think I would have taken Fouts over Theismann if I was going to take a quarterback group real early. Because the Theismann card is not bad. Don't get me wrong. It's a very solid card. But it's really not like a throw-first type of quarterback card, I feel like. The flat pass is good, but tends to complete right or wrong, but the flat pass is good. The short pass, 1, 4, 9, 13, and his must run bump is, modest. Maybe close to 15, which is good. 1, 4, 8, 13, 17, 20. So it's good, 15, 20, but again, not a lot of pass blocking in this set, so you're going to get sacked a lot, so that's not really that great. The long pass right is nice, but not with 9 to 11. That's pretty nice, but some of that is must run. But then gets wrong is only got 10 units. It's a bizarre thing, which I've never really seen before. I haven't been counting units for long, a couple of years, but a few quarterbacks in this set, who in this draft class, Pat Hayden, Ron Jaworski, and here Joe Theismann, and maybe others I don't recall, have only 1 unit more of completion on long pass roll than they had on long pass right. So to me, this is not a card that adds it out. It's more of like a nice, good, solid card. If you have a good team around him, he's going to do a nice job, fairly low turnover, stuff like that. Kind of like he was with the Redskins. Theismann wasn't the reason the Redskins really won, right? They had the good running game and the great line, a decent enough defense, and the big receivers. And so, at number 2 overall, I think I might have gone for something more impactful, like Walter Payton's card. If I was going to have to go for quarterback card, I might have gone for San Diego's Dan Fouts. So we'll see. I worried a little bit about that for Dave when I saw that pick. Then Fouts went 3rd, so the quarterbacks were then gone. No one else was going to take a quarterback up there. And indeed, the next quarterback didn't go until the middle of the 3rd round. And so then you had to run. I thought you'd have a run on the stud halfbacks because I'm telling myself, look, if I don't have a good, if I don't want to, despite what I said about Theismann, if I don't have one of the top 3 quarterbacks in this draft, and I don't get one of these top 4 stud running backs, what is my offense looking like? You know, I got Pat Hayden and who? You know, Wendell Tyler, Sherman Smith, and then there's good defense in this set. A lot of guys are going to be good against something, and no one can kick, and there's no great return units. They're going to elevate your field position enough, like an 85 with Ron Brown and the Rams. So I would have gone that route myself. But that's not what the league did. The Butch did it with Walter Payton, and then the league started going a little defense. Now, Dennis took the LA secondary. I had forgotten the idea of a 4-3. I was so locked into wanting to play a 3-4 after I'm playing a 4-3 in 1985 that I didn't realize that the LA Rams secondary. Look, I make plenty of mistakes here. I put all this stuff together. I try to do a good job, but I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. You have to know your own fallibility. But the first 5 linebacker groups give you an excellent pass defense card. And for those of you who have played in Autumn Wind and have come across those excellent pass defense cards, man, they're really tough. They are tough. But now, again, this is not a passing set. I want to be better against the run. But Dennis is thinking, oh, I'm going to get as much run as I want, but then he's still giving guess wrongs and receiver readings, and guys have big averages. So I'm not saying it's a bad pick at all. And look, Dennis is a tremendous coach. One of the 3 to 5 best online easily. We were discussing last night. I will never really. He can make anything work, okay? And any approach he takes is usually going to be successful. So it's nothing wrong with that pick at all. It just threw me off because I was thinking 3-4. I was so locked into wanting to play 3-4, and you shouldn't be so locked into one mindset that way. I just like it much better because I can flood the flats and flood the run zones more easily, create more negative plays for the offense. But a solid 4-3 can play pretty well. I just like having greater ability with the cat and mouse to nail the offense with a 2-minute zone on a flat pass or 2-minute zone in a run. And I do pretty well that way. But a good 4-3 can be okay. I just like the flexibility and versatility moves I can make in a 3-4. Then Lawrence took the Tampa Bay LB, which Lawrence and I have become pretty friendly. I've been playing with him for quite a few years now, and I hated the selection. I really, really hated it. And Lawrence is happy with me being blunt and honest with him, but for starters, they're not even the top linebacker group that you have here, right? In a 3-4, Denver's got 22 run pass units. They got 17 in a 4-3. Tampa's got 16 in a 4-3, but only 1-6. They got the pass rush, but in a 4-3, only one of these linebacker blitz ratings is going to be able to be used at one time. So if you want to take Tampa and play a 3-4, you can get the multiple good blitzing going, the 11 and the 10, but they're only the third best 3-4 defense by run pass, which is going to affect your average versus good versus excellent. And then it's not a passing set. This is where you got to know the set. If it's not a passing draft class, then why should my priority be pass rush with my first round selection? So, and then but let me look at the combos and not be harsh and say, okay, if I have the Tampa linebacking group, well, I can't get excellent. A chance of it with Denver, but now with Tampa Bay, can't get excellent. I'm swearing that off. And then there's still only 7 out of 9 that's going to make sure I get good. So I'm spending the number 6 overall, passing on Earl Campbell and Otis Anderson for a linebacking group that is not even guaranteeing me good. You know, part of the thing about you get a guarantee good. If you take Denver, you get a guarantee good against the run. You could say, hey, later, guys, I'll take my defensive line at the end. That is such a benefit to drafting because you're going to get maybe a better wide receiver unit or maybe a better secondary, maybe a better offensive line. You can just leave that alone to the end. Well, everyone else has got to spend 2 picks to get to that good. You just spent 1 to get to it. So I didn't like that at all. And then you went to pass combos for Tampa Bay. And again, only 5 out of 9 to get good against the pass. That's comical for the 6th pick overall, I'd say. And if you're going to play 4-3, you've only got 1-6 linebacker. You're drafting number 6 overall. If you go Denver's 4-3, you got 2 6 linebackers. So a lot of reasons I really didn't like that pick. And then Dennis and him were talking, and they had to do some calisthenics for Lawrence to try to salvage his team by coming up with an excellent pass defense that took him 3 picks. I would have taken something else. I don't know what, but I would have taken something else. and I had the very next pick, and it was hard here. Really, I think once you got past Peyton, I think it was hard. Because, look, Earl Campbell can't catch it all, okay? You know you're going to have bad quarterbacks. They're going to run key you. And it's the same with Otis Anderson a little bit. And he fumbles a little more, he can catch at least some. I like the Tampa Bay fullback tight end pick because Ricky Bell is so good, guess right. You're not going to have a good quarterback anyway. And you get a very nice receiving core in Jimmy Giles at number 2 overall. And Ricky Bell can receive a little bit in the flat, but better than you think. So, these were all very close, these units. I gave a strong look at Tampa Bay, but I said I'll go for Earl. I'll go for what feels right. Let me get the great running card. And then you have to know, all right, the first round's over. I made my selections. What kind, how is this impacting my team? If you took a running back here, especially, you have to know what your team will look like. I took Earl Campbell. Okay, if he's my only good running option, I took Earl Campbell. I'm not going to have a good quarterback because of the way the draft class is. So I need this is the 79 era. It's not blocking back era. It's pro set era. So you can get a decent second running back and play him at the same time as your stud running back. So I said, I have to make sure I got another running back that can run the ball okay. So Earl's not getting run keyed willy-nilly. Well, I futilely fire bombs with some lousy quarterback. And I'm going to focus on a run blocking line probably. Take advantage of Earl to make people have to play run. And hopefully I can play off of that. Maybe some flat passing, maybe some short passing, because there was really no mad bomber on wrong. Who knows? But the first round came to an end. So the second round got going, and Dale had taken Tampa Bay's fullback tight end here in the first round. Got the Denver linebacker in the second round, which I thought was an excellent pick. And we helped him with some feedback there because he was working, and the draft started before he thought it would. But look, you take Denver in a 3-4, and a 3-4 to me is far superior in strat in general, especially with the white die 6 rule in play. You take the Denver's 3-4 linebacking group, and you got one chance at excellent. He wasn't going to get an excellent because he already took Ricky Bell. So Houston would be gone before he came back. But theoretically, there was one chance at excellent, but guaranteed good run defense. How about the pass, Tom? The Denver linebacking group, look at this. 7 out of 9 good pass defense. So you take a pick. Now, sometimes you can take a linebacking group that guarantees you good against the run and good against the pass. Think about that. I just got one first-round pick. I'm guaranteed good against the run, good against the pass. I can wait on my defensive line. I can wait on my secondary. I'm still going to get the good cards. I can build my offense and stuff like that. Turner or the best or the kicking punting class is weak. Draft one of those early. Although you still want to make sure you get, not all these are goods are the same, right? I mean, if you get a good with Washington, 6'5", 6'0", it's a lot better than Dallas with 4s to the corners, right? So, I mean, you can still draft those other units, but now you don't have to. If you take another linebacking group early or a secondary group or defensive line group, then you have to take something else to get the most out of it. Not necessarily. You can get her after secondary like Dennis did. Know she's going to be good or better with LA. You take a certain defensive line, you know you're going to be good or better. But the linebacker group is the one that can possibly make you automatically good against both. We did think that Dale might not be able to get one of these secondaries because there might be a run on them before he came back. And unfortunately for him, that's what happened. But, it wasn't guaranteed. So that was a good pick. Then Jody took the San Diego DL, gave him a chance at an excellent, which he got. And I'm not going to go down here line by line. I think I'll look at the whole teams now and talk about the drafts I liked or didn't like and what the teams will look like. Now, first of all, I got to say, we're only playing an 8-game season. So luck is going to be a factor. If you have that one real bad luck game and you lose it, well, I'm behind the 8 ball. On the bright side, we got 5 teams out of 9 making the playoffs. So if you get to 4-4, you got a shot. But it's a short season, 8-game season. Ideally, you'd like 13 games or more, I think, to not have to worry about that type of thing. But my experience, a good coaches always usually make the playoffs pretty much no matter what the format is. Joe Golden has an excellent team. I think this is the best team in the league. I'm just starting 1 to 9. Look, you got Roger. Look, he's got Roger Staubach at quarterback. All right, my grid is all messed up now, Joe. Gee, help me, but I'm still confused. He's got Roger Staubach at quarterback. He's got Wendell Tyler at halfback. So who fumbles, but he's with a good quarterback, so you're going to get a lot more pass calls. He drafts a Green Bay fullback tight end, which is not sensational, but is sure-handed. They don't fumble the ball. They're decent gets right. So if he gets a lead or he wants to be conservative or wants to just pick up 3 or 4 yards, he can run with those guys. He's got the Pittsburgh receivers, one of the best receiver groups in the set. The Philly line is not that great. He drafted them 7, but he is good against good on defense. Pittsburgh defensive line playing the 4-3. Pittsburgh secondary. Dallas linebacker sandwiched in between. Team. You got Staubach, Wendell, Tyler, the Pittsburgh receivers, and a good/good defense in the hands of a very, very good coach, an excellent coach. I mean, Joe will be one of the top 3 seeds easy, I think. And I think has the best team. Short season, the best team doesn't always come out on top. But Dennis and I both love his team. Dave Gabbard drafted 2nd. And I think Dave got really rescued a little bit by the Seattle halfback slipping to the 7th round, Sherman Smith. Because before that, he had Joe Theismann, right? But he didn't have, much else to hang your hat on offense. And really no kind of running game worth much at all. But I think Joe Theismann with Sherman Smith and Elvis Peacock gives you a little bit. That can do something. That can do something. But if you're going to have that approach, Sherman Smith's not bad. Peacock, okay. Theismann, not bad. You better have a real good defense. And Dave he's good against the run, but only average against the pass. So there is some vulnerability there. I don't think it's awful, but we're comparing it to the rest of the set. There's only 3 average units in the whole set, and he's got one of them. I didn't really like this back-to-back Philly DL, Philly linebacking group for the 2nd and 3rd round, even though Philly's got, I think, really good pass rush on that line. If that's the one. Yes, 8-5 and then 12 with a 6 asterisk and a nose tackle 6. That's real strong. So I don't remember what I liked there for him better. But maybe it was more a feeling of Theismann and the Philly guys. Well, I don't know. I don't know how much he's going to get out of that. But the final product ended up not being too bad. I mean, look, you got Theismann. I should bring these up in League Manager. It's easier to see. I don't have all the coach files yet. This is going to be a real short show, but as you see, it's already going. But it's easier in League Manager to see the team. Yes. So you got Joe Theismann, Sherman Smith, Elvis Peacock. Miami receivers are excellent. Number 3. The tight end's a little weak. I don't love this Elvis Peacock card either. It's fairly high in my fullback rankings. That was a numerical thing. See the run blocking at 5.55 on the right side, 4s and a 0 elsewhere. Not that great. The pass blocking helps, but usually that's more if you got, pass blocking is always good. You don't want to get sacked, but it's not as dangerous when the quarterback is not dominant, if you've got, Marino or Peyton Manning and all the 7s, oh man, that's a pain in the neck, right? So this offense will be okay. I like the explosiveness of the wide receivers. I like that he can run the ball some with Smith and stuff. But I just feel like the league, it's not going to be enough to really carry him. The defense is good in the average. It was 5.65 defensive line, 5.4, 5.5 linebackers. This inside 12 is key. He doesn't cover anybody, so he can blitz aggressively with him. And the secondary, look. We drafted 9 out of 15, and we took all the playoff teams. This is a pretty strong draft class overall. It seems like almost everyone has a good defense. So what's going to separate you? In this case, it's a negative separation for the average, but he does have a corner 5 and a strong safety 6. So even though he's a free safety 0, he can double on that corner 4. Let the other guys play man, although it is against an average. But he's going to get past more than you like, and there's a lot of good running backs there. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with this team as we go forward. And the opponent coverage looks pretty good. He took the punt with the 11 block. He was still up there because it was a weak punting class. 12 is 31 yards. So he's got one of the best kick returners in Roy Green. He's got a good punt returner despite the 4 fumble. And Jeff Moore. So it's a pretty decent team. But it's a pretty decent team. But Dave's new online, and we'll see what happens. This team could be 4-4, but they could also be 3-5. I mean, something like that, I'd say. Joe Golden's club, I didn't give him prediction. I'm going to predict I'm gonna bring up his team on League Manager. I like the way to look at it. Then Stallback Tyler Stallback Tyler Torkelson, Swan Stallworth. The offensive line is pretty weak. That's going to hurt him. Thank God that Joe is a weakness. That might hurt him a lot. And Tyler can fumble a little bit. So the defensive line goes 6-6-4-5. He's got to cover that 4 a little, though he's a good in a 4-3, which are always good cards to have. Goes 4-5-5 at linebacker. Goes 4-6-6-5 the secondary. So it's good. But there's some weaknesses there. So yeah, I'll nerf Joe down to 5-3 instead of 6-2. Punt return is not that great. Schubert's got a touchdown. The kick returner is not bad. Field goal kickers I always got to look at because they're not good back then. Frisch is one of the better ones, which Joe was able to take because he had Danny White. I think I might give Joe 6-2. I don't want to make a prediction for Dave because I know he's new online and he's been struggling a little bit. On the personnel, I could see him going 3-5 or 4-4. His kicker's pretty good, Efren Herrera. And like that's something like the kickers are terrible in this draft class. Pretty much. So if you have a decent kicker, like the 2 teams you looked at so far, Joe and Dave, that gives you a bit of an advantage, right? And the defensive sense is going to be low scoring. Look, you got to make those field goals on 4th and 9 because you don't want to go for it on 4th and 9 with Pat Hayden or whoever your quarterback is, right? So Dave's team's not bad. I think the Sherman Smith slipping really, really helped them out a lot. And he has carries too. And if it was Gary Davis who went later in that round, I don't think the impact would be as favorable. Jason Owens went 3rd. Jason likes to take the offense. He took Fouts in the 1st round. He's also a Dallas Cowboys fan. And Jason, I think when Jason has a lot of weapons, I think he uses the offense well. He did make the Battle Royale Super Bowl after a couple upsets. He went 9-7 in the regular season with a poor run defense. And then a couple upsets in the playoffs over Dennis and I want to say Rick Byron's maybe. Before succumbing to Nathan for the Battle Royale Championship. Nathan is a defending Battle Royale champion. He's not playing in Summer Sprint nor in DFL. But Jason's got Dan Fouts, a quarterback. And see, I felt like if you got Fouts, a Wilbert Montgomery or Wendell Tyler, that explosive running back who fumbles is worth it. And he doubled down. He took Franco Harris from Rocky Bar also. So a lot of fumbling. There's a lot of interceptions. That's going to be a problem. There's a lot of big plays too. And Tony Hill and Drew Pearson have got great cards. They were the best wide receiver tandem in the set. Offensive line not that great, but no one's is. And not awful in the pass rush. Is not as dominant as 1985, certainly. And Jason, he goes for the big plays. He's not going to be throwing too many flat passes to Benny Cunningham. He's going to be throwing it short and long to Pearson and Hill and doing all kinds of runs with these guys to get advantage of their best columns. And if you guess wrong a few plays in a row, bang, 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 you can get a quick touchdown. But if you guess right, you can get some interceptions, you can get some fumbles. So this is a team that can have some big games, have some bad games, a little like greatest show on turf type of deal. He's average against the run, good against the pass. I don't want to be. He plays a 4-3 as well. So white die 6 rule, average against the run in a year where you got to run the ball. When there's 4 outright stud backs and then some other pretty good cards. I think Riggins is an acceptable lead back for this season. He's only average against the run. He goes 5-4-4-4 on the defensive line, 4-5-5 at linebacker. He does have 6 at corner. But I think this defense is going to struggle. I think this team will finish under 500. The turnover, the defense and turnovers, the kicker is not that great. It's got a nice opponent punt coverage. The return game is okay. The return game is not that great in this draft class, to be honest with you. No one's really shining in the return game. But I think the defense is going to hurt him. He's got one of the 3 average units and is against the run. He's the only one that's average against the run. Of course, he was poor against the run. Poor. In the modern Battle Royale that finished, and he made the Super Bowl. But that's 9-7. You don't want to do that too often. He's got the only average run defense, and it's a 4-3. Both of his defensive tackles are 4s. His linebackers aren't that great. So I think this team will finish under 500 and miss the playoffs. but they can beat anybody with all those offensive weapons, and they'll be a little dangerous, and they'll have some big moments, no doubt about it, in my view. Then you go down to Butch, who usually does a nice job. Butch is good. Wisconsin Badgers. A little more of a season preview than a draft recap. Butch's got the great Walter Payton. I had him as the number one running back in the set, and you can see Sir Walter. Very nice card. He's got the short gains on wrong. He's got the very good solid yardage on right. He's got plus 20s, not on the edges, but on a 4. Doesn't have the big long gains and the 60, 70-yard runs. But everything else is good. And, of course, he's an excellent receiver. Not as good as short passes as I was thinking. It looks like an 11-18. And even the yardage on flat pass not as good as thinking on right, but it's excellent on wrong. He can go deep like a tight end, 5'10", and he's a 6'7". And he's Walter Payton, okay? Now, Ron Jaworski, not in love with this card either. But, again, once you got past Jim Zorn, you were at the mercy of the draft class. He's all right on short pass wrong. He's all right on flat. And his long pass wrong is disappointing. Jaworski had the reputation for a big arm. 8 long pass right completions, only 9 are wrong. But his turnovers aren't too bad. I think it's why he was a little higher than Pat Hayden and those guys. So you might see a lot of running, and you might see more of a flat pass, short pass approach. You got Steve Largent, who's real good. The tight end, Bruce Hardy, that can be a very good card. 30 catches, 12.9 is a 5 blocking. Not a bad card, but this was a pretty decent tight end draft. So the offense, I think, is going to struggle a little bit. You got good interior blocking, 6.55 left to right. Zaka, I don't think really takes a lot of pressure off of Peyton. You might be able to run key a little bit against him. Zaka's not too bad, though, with this card, but by formulas, I don't think it came out that well. But that may have been the lack of any big runs hurting it, because this card looks pretty consistent. Can't catch, though. This is near the end of Larry's Hall of Fame career. And the defense is good with a 3-4. You got 5-6-6 and the defensive line. That's a Houston defensive line with a hulking 4-12-10 coming off the bench. And you go 6-4-4-5 at linebacker. Those inside 4s aren't going to hurt him as much because you got the nose tackle 6 and because it's a 3-4. Then you go 6-6-4-4 in the secondary. So you got 2 6 short pass defenders. So you can double team on that 4 a little more aggressively. It's not a great long passing set either. So I think the defense has the ability to play real well. The special teams, nothing exciting in the return department, and he's got an awful kicker. Neil O'Donoghue, 2-9-12 extra point. 2-8-11-12 from the 2-yard line. Which might be going in from the 2-yard line at 2-8-11-12. Is that much? 2-7 from the 13 to the 22. 4th and 8, the 18. I got to kick 2-7. So that's going to hurt this team, and it may even keep them under 500. Better kicker. Maybe. I know it's people think I'm crazy, or maybe I'm overestimating it. But these teams are all pretty close here. So Butch is a good coach. But Jaworski's not great. You can key on Peyton a little bit. The field goal kicking is going to hurt. I like the defense, but I don't think the defense will be enough to vault this team over 500. Maybe 3-5 finish for them too. Of course, I'm notorious for picking everyone to have a losing record, which obviously can't happen. Dennis's team. Dennis went the defensive approach. I like Dennis's team. Big surprise, right? But Dennis took that LA secondary, knows he's going to go for the excellent, got it on the wraparound with the Pittsburgh linebacker groups. It means he has to play a 4-3. So that's one consolation for the rest of us. For the Pittsburgh LB in a 4-3, he goes 6-6-4. So you're not going to white die 6 him, even though he's got the excellent pass defense. He can bring his free safety up to cover that 4 and flood the flats. And then that Pittsburgh linebacking group, did it guarantee him good against a run in a 4-3? It may have. It didn't. He had to take a group, and he made sure to get one that was good. But he's good against the run, excellent against the pass with a tremendous back 7. And he's still good against the run, like I said. And the offense is not that bad. He got Jim Zorn, who's not great, but he's better than all the guys below him. So he's okay. And then I like what he did with the running game. You got John Riggins and Gary Davis. And he took a run blocking line. 6 on the left side, 5 and 5 right guard. Look, Jim Zorn, John Riggins with a good defense, not bad. And you got Gary Davis in there. I think just as importantly, because if you're going to sit back and guess pass, I mean, look at the end run card of Gary Davis, an off tackle, and he's a decent receiver. And his fumble number is not bad. And you got John Riggins. Got short games done wrong in the middle of the card. Some solid yardage on right. Not great, but some solid yardage on right. And catch the ball too well. You got Jim Zorn. You got good receivers. You got to respect the passing game a little bit. So you got a team that, is excellent on defense, literally against the pass, but 4-4-6-5, 6-6-4 linebacker. So you say, well, he's good against the run. So if the fucking attack these forwards, he can bring linebacker 6s up. He can bring the safety 5 up to cover those spots for the linebacker 6s because he's got corner 6s and a strong safety 5, and even the best tight end in this set is not great on the bomb, or maybe not even maxed out short against Riley Odoms. So he doesn't have to double cover. He can flood the flat here on the floor. He can play games with his 6s coming up in here and bring the safety up. And Dennis is an excellent coach. The offense looks pretty decent. Like if you're going to be a defensive team and you end up with that type of offense, number 4 quarterback, like maybe like number 7 lead back, not too bad. Gary Davis, a little special card, good receivers. I know line can't really pass block, but they can run well. Dennis is comfortable pounding the ball on the ground and then throwing. I like that approach. Now he whiffed in the special teams a little bit here. His returners are fine, but the field goal kicking. He didn't realize that Danny Whitehead had been stripped off the Dallas kicker punter at number 1 overall when Joe took Roger Staubach. So he couldn't take Raphael Septiani. He'd have no punter. So he ended up with a Baltimore punter kicker. And it's Steve Mickemeyer, who is 2 to 11 to 12 from the 1 to the 12. 2 to 8, 13 to 22, 2 to 4, 11 to 12, to 23 to 32. So you got to, that's going to hurt Dennis, but Dennis is such a great coach. Look, he's going to be there. I really like this team a lot. I'm going to give them a 6-2 type of mark, I think. I like his team a lot. I like Joe Golden's team a lot. Joe Golden's probably better. I chose 5-3. There's a lot of parity here. I don't what do you want me to tell you? Say it ain't so, Joe. And now Lawrence, who I have had lengthy emails with and AAM discussions about his team. He wanted my open assessment, and of course I gave it because I do that. Boy, this offense. Oh. I need to take some Pepto-Bismol. I'm going to watch this. Let's start on the defensive side of the ball. They better be the 63 Bears or something. He's a 4-3. He's good against the run. He's excellent against the pass. He had to do a lot of work to get there, but he got it. And he goes 5-6-5-4 the defensive line. I like that. Everyone's 5 or better on the tight end side. This right end 4 doesn't hurt you as much because it's not really a blocking back error. Guys want to go blocking back might find more run keying than they're accustomed to because the quarterbacks aren't as good and the long passing is not as good. Linebackers go 5-6-5, but only one of these 10 and 11 blitzing ratings is going to count, except when he's going nickel 3-3-5. Or you could just go 3-4 if you wanted. The secondary is great, 6-6-5-5. So this defense can play great, but they are 4-3 with only 1-6 at linebacker, only 1-6 the defensive line. And Lawrence is an offensive coach. I hate to break it to you, Lawrence. But in all these leagues, Lawrence is always drafting good quarterbacks and running backs, and he beats you 34-31. He doesn't beat you 10-7. So it's a totally different team for Lawrence. I don't think it fits his coaching style. And the offense is just futile. Bob Greasy. Let's take a look. Pretty good flat pass. That'll help. But boy, this short pass, 2, 6, 9. It says 10 on it, but it's got an awful lot of visible ink. I mean, 2, 6, 9, 10 completions with almost a clean interception on 11. And then I'm wrong, 16 completions. That's bad. And then the bomb, he's got 6 long pass right with almost 3 units of clean interception. And he's got 11 long pass wrong, which isn't as bad. But Joe's not going to really engender the world's largest amount of run calls with Joe Washington and Tim Wilson. And the receivers are pretty good down the field, but they're not great. There's a good return, but this team's going to struggle mightily, I think. I just think people are just going to stand around and they have a hard time scoring. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know where his points are going to come from. I think he has a decent kicker. Mark Mosley, who's number 2 in the set, 2 to 10, 2 to 10, 2 to 8, 11 and 12, 2 to 7, 11 and 12. They have great coverage units on the Washington one, I recall. You got Rick Upchurch, good receiving. He has a fumble there. You look at some opponent coverage, plus 10, 11, 12 on the kicks, plus 1, minus 2, plus 4 on the punts. Washington was like that 70s, early 80s in Strat. I remember that. But yeah, this team, I don't know, 2-6, and maybe worse, just because the offense is so bad and everyone has a good defense. So, I mean, everyone wins some games, we'll see. But it's too bad. But it's a short season, Lawrence. That's the good side. And anybody can win these games, so, you know. But I think that team's really going to struggle. Go down to my team, which is kind of weird. I don't think it's that great. Okay? Cancel. Dennis and I were talking about this regarding Battle Royale, that the Battle Royale format, which is where all this comes from, whether it's Battle Royale or Summer Sprint or now the Diehard Football League, that, you know, sometimes you can like make a pretty solid pick with every selection, and then but the sum is less than the parts, or whatever the hell the saying is. I know the normal saying is that the sum is greater than the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Okay, well, sometimes the whole is less than the sum of the parts, and that might be the case here. I got O'Campbell in the first round. I went Houston linebacker in the second round to guarantee me good, I believe. I could check on that, but I want to wrap up this show and try to get on to the modern league. This is what killed me. To get good against the pass, I had to take the goddamn Dallas secondary in the third round. That's what held my team back, because I think I had Houston as the number 2, 3-4 linebacker group. Okay. 5-5, 5-6. And the Houston linebackers guaranteed you good against the run. Awesome. And the Houston linebackers gave you like a 7 to 9 chance of good against the pass. So I was in the same boat as Dale with Denver, but I was drafting before him on the way back here, on the way down in the third round. But Lawrence's shenanigans by drafting Washington and Green Bay, drafting Washington and destroying the Green Bay group by drafting Green Bay returners, which had those 2 5s on it. He sapped away one of the teams that I could take to get it good. And this Dallas secondary, it's the third round, folks. I think a secondary has got corner 4s. Do you know how vomitous that made me? Dennis knows I love corners. Okay? And I'm going to spend my third round pick while drafting only 9 guys on his unit with corner 4s. But you got to have flexibility in your coaching. So, hey, I love corners, but guess what? I don't have them. So time to figure something else out. And I took the Dallas secondary third, but that's not a strong unit. It gave me the good, but it's a weak unit. Weak. That's because Jim Zorn and I get 4 as a corner. You know, when I wanted to take the Pittsburgh offensive line or something like that. I look at the other picks around it that are just better picks as units. Seattle quarterback 2 picks before. Right, Pittsburgh quarterback right after. Pittsburgh offensive line, LA linebackers. Now, these are all much better individual units than this stupid Dallas secondary. But I had to take it to get good. Benny Barnes. Pass interference in the Super Bowl against the Steelers. So, the rest of this team then, I knew I was going to wait till the end for my defensive line. I wanted to get one of the top 3 receiver groups. I thought they really differentiated themselves. But I went for the Philly fullback tight end, going more for playability than value, because I knew I wasn't going to have a quarterback. I knew that people were going to run Keith Campbell. I still got to run the ball. And I had Leroy Harris as one of the better fullbacks. And he fumbles a lot more than you like, but he's got a pretty decent card. Well, you know what I really like? He's got the 4-show game right and wrong. Not that I like that in itself, but I like that Earl Campbell has it also. So if I run with Leroy and I get a 4, I'm not going to go, I should have run with Earl Campbell. Because whoever I run with, 4 will be a short game. So he's got a pretty decent guess wrong card. I wish he could do more as a receiver because neither of my running back can catch, which is a major negative. But hey, he's got a decent running card, and it'll help me with Earl. I wanted to get a good run blocking line. I wanted to get Miami, but someone took that ahead of me. I wanted to get them late. And I thought I could get them late, but someone took that ahead of me. So I wasn't like, then I missed the wide receiver run. After I took my 4th round pick, Jason took Dallas wide receivers at the end of the 4th round, and then started it because Pittsburgh and Miami receivers right after, even San Diego. Then even Lawrence with Denver, which was going to be my pick there in that round, took a 1 spot ahead of me. So I even missed out on a receiver group that I would have wanted. And with the Miami DL. So let's look at the whole story. I got Earl Campbell, Leroy Harris. I got a tight end 6 and 2 6s on the right side of my line. So it's 6-6-6 on the right side with a card like Campbell's will be helpful. The defenses look to shut down on that. My quarterback situation is bizarre. I got Greg Landry and Burt Jones. They'll both play. Whoever starts the drive has to finish the drive. I instituted that rule here, which is in a lot of other leagues, but Dennis does not have it in Battle Royale. Landry's a flat pass maven. Can't do anything down the field. Is awful long. Is bad short. Doesn't throw any picks. I'm glad there's not that many 3-4s out there, so I can throw flat more. Burt Jones doesn't really throw me 2 picks. He's got a better short pass wrong card. You may see him if I decide to go run short pass. Hey, Burt Jones, fun to use. I got the worst receiver group in the league, but they do have Ken Burrow on it, who's good. I had 2 zeros in the offensive line. The pass blocking is not great. There's a lot of problems so there's some difficulties there, but I think I can coax enough out of this offense to get it going. I do have good cards on defense. So I did get a stud back and good defense, which for this draft class wasn't bad. I like the front 7. I like the run defense. I go 5-6-4. That 6 nose tackle is nice. 5-5-5-6 at linebacker, so that 6 outside linebacker can help cover that 4 defensive end. He also covers the halfback. And a lot of good receiving halfbacks here, but the secondary just kills me. 4's at corner, safety 5, free safety 6. And a white tie 6, I can't drop the linebacker down to double as easily. Thankfully, it's not a passing league. I do have some pass rush. And I have pretty good special teams, which is something I'm kind of becoming known for. My opponent coverage units are real strong. I had Philly as the number 1 kicker punter group by far. The punter does have a block on 12. And the kicker is not great, but by this standings, by these standards, he's pretty good. I didn't realize he was only 2 to 10 the extra point. That's going to hurt me. But he's 2 to 10 to the 12. He's 2 to 9 and 12 out to the 22, and 2 to 8, and even 2 to 6, 33 to 37. The barefooted Tony Franklin. I love my punt returner, who, of course, Strat is not showing you here for some reason. That's John Sierra. I'll have to try to bring him up somehow. Let me change this. I didn't do my own computer coach yet, but I don't have to. And I'll be the one sending out the file. So I'll do it before I send out the file. I'm still waiting for a couple of those, by the way. So John Sierra, he got a fumble on 4, but look at this. 5 is 30 yards on a punt. So I think the return game, the defense worries me because of the susceptibility of those corners. They do worry me. So I don't know what's going to happen with this team. I've only missed the playoffs once ever in a Battle Royale league, and that was when I went away from my spreadsheets and tried to do some fancy J.J. Watt-oriented pass rush fest in a modern league, and it didn't work out well. I went 8-8. So, look, I'll be honest with you. Somebody else is coaching this team. I might be picking 2 and 6. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm just saying I wouldn't like it. So maybe I'm seeing it through rose-colored glasses because they're my guys. I don't know. But I think I can get this team to 5 and 3. I'm confident in it. And I'm confident that I can get them to 5 and 3. I'm not confident in this team. So I'll pick them for 5-3, and if I have my worst season ever, you guys can all laugh at me, which is fine. Okay. I probably spent more time on my team than most of the other teams. We got to Jody, who I thought did a nice job. I thought Jody had a very solid draft. You know, I mean, you look, drafting order doesn't require that you be a genius. Just make a nice, solid pick every time. Sometimes when you overthink it, you get yourself in trouble. And now you can go next level with a bunch of little extra shenanigans like Dennis can do. Although he out-shenaniganed himself this time, but not getting a good field goal kicker. But in general, you know, you just hit line drives, right? And that's what Jody did. And he took the guys who were there that were the good units, and he kept an eye on his combos. You know, look, Otis Anderson's got one of the top 4-star running cards in the set. There's no quarterback there. I need to run the ball. Otis Anderson, solid selection, right? Round 2, okay, I need to do something on defense. I prefer 3-4 myself. I know the San Diego thing is Studley. You had a chance at an excellent. It wasn't guaranteed. So I probably would have gone for the Houston LB, which I did the next pick. Oh, I'm going to take San Diego DL. I don't mind the 4-3. I like the pass rush. And I think I might get an excellent, okay? And then round 3 comes along. And where am I? Joe, what did you do to my grid here? Okay. So round 3 comes along. And near the end, there's still the LA linebackers there that will give him his excellent run defense and help him with some pass defense. And, of course, Dale has already taken a linebacker group. So Joe passes on and takes who would take. I'll take the Pittsburgh quarterbacks. Number 5, Dennis said they were the worst. Not the worst. Dennis said he did not want to go below that unit for his quarterback. That's a good endorsement. I kind of like Bradshaw's card. He's way better on short pass right than any of the other scrub quarterbacks. He does throw a lot of picks. He's not as good on long pass wrong as you want, but look, you already have Otis Anderson. So you're going to see more wrong calls. Sooner or later, converting some 3rd and 10s is going to help you win some games, right? And Bradshaw does that better than any of the scrub quarterbacks. He throws a lot of picks, but Jody probably run the ball a lot, and he got an excellent run defense, so that's what you might be looking at, right? And the 4th round comes, he grabs the LA linebackers that he knew he needed to get his excellent run defense. And it's a strong unit on their own. They're the number 3, 4-3 linebacker group. They go 6-5-5. So you get white die 6 help there on that outside 6. No weak 4s. You can have some pass rush, 8-6-10. So I like that. And you pair them with that San Diego line, which goes 5-5-6-6. He doesn't have a 4 in his front 7. He's got an excellent run defense. It goes 5-5-6-6, 6-5-5. With down linemen 7-12-5-10. Some blitz are coming in against these pass blockers. So that's real nice. Now, he was not able, I think, and I'm spending my time on this because he's a new guy, and I thought he did a good job, so I want to give him his props. I didn't like this Denver fullback to end pick. I know you got Riley Odoms, but I wanted a better fullback to go at Otis because I got Bradshaw, and I need to run the ball. I don't want to make Bradshaw to throw it too often. LA offensive line. This was talking about the quarterbacks, this was a terrible offensive line draft as well. Second one in a row. 1985's class was also weak. 5-4-4-0, 6-5-6-5, 4-4. They are number 4 technically up here. But, again, nothing that great here. Anytime you got a 0 pass blocking, that's an issue. Yeah, 0 pass blocking, no 7s. You do the 6s at center right guard, but Otis is a little better, I think, off tackle and run. I'm not sure. So sometimes I want to think about that. But whatever, they're there. And let's look at the overall team and then end up with the Tampa Bay secondary. And he's only, I think, average against the pass. So it's going to be weird. Even though it's not a passing set, you hate to have to call pass more than you'd like. So look at the total team. Bradshaw, Otis Anderson, the run block is pretty decent. Sacks are a problem, but he's going to look to run the ball first. It needs to. Receivers aren't that good. So this offense might actually struggle. I like the early picks. Maybe the late ones didn't work out as well. I think James Scott needs to be in the starting lineup, Jody. I mean, he's 12-18 and 19-26. Look at the yardage. You really want to start Brian Bashnagel over this card? I think I imported the coach files, but maybe I didn't. Or maybe he's went by the yardage. But yeah, come on. Get James Scott in there. I'll be angry if I was going to take the Chicago WR. I took them ahead of me. If you take them and put James Scott in the bench, I'll be angry with you. Excellent against the run, average against the pass. 4's a corners like me, 5's at safety, so he's gonna have to call some pass because there's a lot of good receivers out here. So even though I was saying good things about the team, overall I think they are going to struggle a little bit. The receivers, the fullback, the pass blocking, Bradshaw's interceptions, and the pass defense. Too many negative things to be concerned about here. I'd say the world's greatest return game, though no one has it. Not a very good kicker either. Jody did a nice job getting to going 9-7 in a different league. I think he made the playoffs in Samson, so I'll give him like a 3-5 or something. Maybe a 4-4. We'll see. We'll give him 3-5. And then we're down to the last of the Mohegans, which was Dale Van, the DVD. Halfback pick. I thought that was too early, even though I have Otis up there. Otis Armstrong. You have the stud fullback. I wanted it's good to have the halfback that can run and take pressure up, but how about some receiving as well? With Sherman Smith. I mean, this is just a Denver. I mean, Otis Anderson, he does get the excellent return to go to Dave Preston. I forgot about that. But I think Sherman Smith or any other halfback that was still on the board that could run but also receive is what I would have liked. I don't think Otis is a very good receiver. He's a pretty good running card. But this team ended up with Pat Hayden, quarterback. Ricky Bell, I like a lot. I think his quarterback did well. He's got good run blocking with the Steelers line. He's got decent pass blocking. I don't know why he took the St. Louis receiving group so highly. I think Dale's actually a St. Louis fan. If I remember that from somewhere. I think he is the Cardinals in Autumn Wind. So that could be why he took them higher than some of the other groups. I think other groups are better, but look at Jimmy Giles for that pick, so that helps. Hayden's not bad. Ricky Bell I like. Giles got a good card. I wish the receivers were better. The defense is, some of the defense is good. Good against the run, average against the pass, but only 3 average units. 6'6" run, 6'6" D line rather. 6'5" linebackers, got a 0 corner. Ouch. 0-4 corners, 5'6" safety. So I think this. I don't know. You can coach around this team a little bit. You might get to 4-4, 3-5, 4-4. But we only got 9 teams, only 8 game schedule. It's kind of hard. I think Lawrence is in bad shape. I think Joe and Dennis are in real good shape, and then the rest of us are in between. And we're gonna see how it shakes out. He's got the very good return game. His field goal kicker is not bad comparatively, but not great. At least he's 2-11 on the extra point, which is, I think, better than all but Mark Mosley, who's automatic. I don't know. 3-5, I'll say. So if Dennis has the interest, which he might not, he can go down and record all these records. But I think I've got Joe, me, Dennis. I got Joe, Dennis, and me in the top 3. I think I've got Butch in the playoffs after that. And I got to get a 5th team in the playoffs. I might put Dale in there, but that 5th team is going to be Dale, Jody, Dave Gabbard, and Jason. Jason's had the most success, I think, in these formats out of that group. Well, 2 guys are brand new, Dave and Jody. I'll see what they do. And welcome to both of you guys, Dave and Jody. Dave and I had a little tiff that we sorted out, so we're good to go. He's in Samsa. Maybe he'll be in other leagues coming up soon. And I've gotten to communicate with both him and Jody quite a bit and know them well. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Not quite what I originally had planned. I wanted Dennis to be in, but look, Dennis has a lot of family commitments. And, of course, the new Strat ratings came out, and I have to do a Strat rating show or I'll be thrown off the forum forever. Hope you guys enjoy and hopefully tomorrow morning I get the league file out. I'm still waiting for a couple of coach files. I haven't checked my email in a couple hours, but there you have it. Super Bowl prediction. All right. I'm going to go with I'll take the easy way out. Take Dennis versus Joe, since they play for the Super Bowl all the time, and since my team kind of sucks in various ways, I'll pick those two guys. Nothing against the rest of you guys. That's my prediction. But now you get to prove me wrong. 8-game season. Maybe we'll be starting to play some games tomorrow. I'm probably not going to use any spreadsheets this entire season. I'm just going to play my game, which I did actually a lot in the Psalms when I went 15-1. But I already learned a lot from the spreadsheets, even without using them. But with the excellence in there, it's a real wild card. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. Catch you later. This is Tom signing off. Take care. It looks like I did an hour and 20 minutes. Bye-bye.